सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। हरिः ओम् श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्. Welcome back to Arsha Vidya Tarangini classes. After a long time we are meeting again. We are in chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita, completed up to 18th sloka. We will have a quick recap because there is a long gap. I will give you the background of what transpired in the 4th chapter and then proceed. The name of the chapter is Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yogam. You should not take it as Jnanam and Karma, both you have to renounce. That is not the meaning. If that meaning is taken, we have lost the very essence of the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita pinpoints Jnanam, and Jnanam alone will give you moksha. So by renouncing Jnanam also, you will not get moksha. So you have to understand this as Jnanaya Karma Sannyasam. For the sake of Jnanam, you have to renounce karma. This is something like this. See, you have reached the floor by lift. You cannot say because I have reached here with the help of lift, I won't leave the lift. Then you won't reach the destiny. So you have to use the lift only as a sadhanam. Similarly, the karma yogam or the karma kanda, you have to use it just to qualify yourself for jnana yogam. Therefore, jnanaya karma sannyasam. Then in this chapter, Paramatma started explaining, and before explanation, he praised Gita. It is a very ancient and age-old knowledge, very divine knowledge, secretive knowledge, and very useful for the Vedic way of lifestyle. So he says, Imam vivasvate yogam proktavan aham avyayam vivaswan manave praha manurikshvakave bravit. So Paramatma said, I taught this to Vivaswan, that means Surya Bhagavan. And Surya Bhagavan, he gave it to his son Manu, and Manu gave it to Ikshvaku Rajas, and thereby it has gone into the royal families. The knowledge was prevalent in the all royal families, but owing to the long passage of time, now it is lost. Nobody knows that. So I am here to revive that knowledge and give you that knowledge and see that the entire human race is benefited hereafter. So Paramatma said that this is a very, very old knowledge. And immediately Arjuna got a doubt. You are my contemporary, how do I accommodate this? So Arjuna says, Aparam bhavato janma, param janma vivasvataha, khatametad vijaniyam tvamadau proktavaniti. You are my contemporary. I am seeing you right in front of me. Whereas the Surya's beginning is very, very old. So how do I accommodate the idea that you spoke to and you gave this knowledge to Surya Bhagavan. This is not, I cannot comprehend this, I cannot accommodate this idea. So this is what Arjuna was, having the doubt. So Krishna Paramatma said, he clarified his doubt. He said that you and I, we had many janmas. I know all my janmas being an avatara, whereas you do not know. You do not know your previous janmas. So you cannot say your previous janmas, whereas I can talk about my previous janmas. So in my previous avataras, I gave this knowledge to Surya Bhagavan. So he also gave the avatara rahasyam. He told that the avataram is a special appearance of God in time of need. So whenever there is a disturbance in the dharma, whenever there is a decline in the dharma, I do take the incarnation of the human birth and appear before the people in the human form and try to bring back the dharma. That is the avatara rahasyam. He said, Paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya cha duskrutam dharma samstapanardhaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So for paritranam, sadhunam paritranam, for safeguarding the sadhus and punishing the evil people. Sishta Rachana, Dushta Sikshana. Paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya cha dushkutam. Dharma samstapanardhaya, to establish the dharma which is in the decline. To re-establish dharma, I do take the incarnation again and again. So here in Krishnavatara, he took the birth not only for Paritranam and Dushta Sikshanam. Here he re-established dharma, the Vedic way of living, by gifting the entire human race the Bhagavad Gita. This is a very, very valuable and useful scripture which the entire human race is benefited. So I am giving this knowledge so that the Vedic way of living can be continued. He said that Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagashaha. So he said that I created all the Chaturvarnas, that is Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaisya and Sudra, according to their guna and karma. So as per their guna and karma, I have created the Chaturvarnas. So I am responsible for Varna Ashrama Vyavastha. So this is how Paramatma mentioned about Varnasrama Vyavastha. I explained in the class in detail about the Varnasrama Vyavastha. And then from sloka number 18 up to 24, Paramatma was to give the essence of Upanishads. In sloka number 18, he talks of paradoxes. Paradoxes means a pair of opposite words. Something like regularly irregular. The pair of opposite words are used in a sentence. Such sentences are called paradoxical sentences. He talks in the language of riddles. because this is a Grandha Grandhi Slokam. 18th sloka is a Grandha Grandhi Slokam. Grandha Grandhi Slokam is a sloka purposely given by Vyasacharya in order to buy time. Because Ganesha, Lord Ganesha puts a condition that if you stop dictating, then I will not write. Vyasacharya also gave a counter challenge saying that you have to understand and write. So whenever Vyasacharya wanted to have a small break, then he gives a Grandha Grandhi slokas. In Bhagavad Gita, we have 3 Grandha Grandhi slokas. So wherein a small gap is taken by Ganesha, and thereafter Vyasacharya can compose thousands of slokas in that gap. So Paramatma told the secret of action also. He said that there is a karma, there is a karma and vikarma. You have to know the differences between karma, akarma and vikarma. Karma means doing action, especially the vihita karma. Akarma means not doing the prescribed actions. Then vikarma means doing an action which is prohibited. So this is the explanation given by Paramatma. And then the 18th sloka, which is full of riddles. We already covered this in the last class, but I do the recap, which will be useful to all of us. So sloka number 18. Karmanya karmaya pasyet akarmani cha karmayaha sabuddhiman manushyeshu sayukta krutsna karma krita. So here Paramatma says 2 paradoxical sentences. The first one is, one who sees inaction in action and one who sees action in inaction is a wise person, is a viveki among the human race. Such a person is supposed to have a control on the indriyas. He has a control on the entire indriyas. And he is the most accomplished person. So that's what the sloka says. So here the riddle is to see action in inaction and inaction in action. So these are the 2 riddles given by Paramatma. So let us try to understand what is this riddle about. First we'll deal with inaction in action. When you are doing action, you have to see inaction, it seems. You can see action in action, not inaction in action. What does it mean by Paramatma? So let us see. If you are traveling in a train, let us say, and sitting by the window side, watching the, outside the landscape. So all the palm trees in the fields, they will be running around. Whereas your train appears to be stationary, not moving. The outside trees, outside houses, everything is moving fast. The train is stationary. This is how it appears. Though the appearance is like this, What is your understanding? You don't understand, you don't accept that trees are running. Though you see that trees are running, you understand that that is only a relative effect but not a real thing. The real thing is train is running, whereas the trees and the outside panorama is stationary. The appearance is different. The truth is train is running. So in the same way, when you look at this human being, the individual, the Vyashti, he is composed of two things. One is called the lower self, the other one is called higher self. The higher self is called Atma or Sakshi. This higher self is explained, Atma is explained in the second chapter from sloka number 12 up to 25th. Atma is Ekam, Atma is Purnam, Atma is Sakshi. So Atma is birthless, Atma is deathless, like that various lakshanas, various attributes of Atma we have studied in chapter 2. Now in this particular sloka, Paramatma wanted to highlight the akarta nature of Atma. Atma is not a doer. That is what Paramatma wants to emphasize here. This is called this Atma or Sakshi, or it is also called Aham. This is the higher self. Then there is a lower self also. For Vyashti, for individual, there is a lower self, which is called Ahankara. This Ahankara is nothing but mind. Ahankara is the mind. Mind itself is inert. Mind cannot, think of anything because it is inert. So, what happens? Mind is having a special character. In the presence of the Chaitanyam, mind becomes sentient. The Chaitanyam reflects in the mind and becomes sentient. So, blessed by the Chaitanyam, mind becomes sentient. This reflection of Chaitanyam in the mind is called Chidabhasa. So because of the Chidabhasa, mind becomes sentient and active, starts thinking. And again it reflects all Indriyas, and in turn all Indriyas become sentient. That way the entire body becomes sentient by virtue of the mind. So the mind which is sentient is called Ahankara. Ahankara is the lower self. Whereas Aham is the Chaitanyam, Sakshi, Atma. That is the higher self. So when I look at the higher self is Akarta. It is Asangaha, Akarta, Ekam, Nityam, Saram, Satyam. So as Atma, I am not doing anything. As Atma, as my real self, I am not doing anything in this world. Because I am only a Sakshi. Whereas the Chaitanyam reflected in the mind becomes a lower self called Ahankara. Ahankara does the work. Ahankara is a Karta Bhokta. whereas aham is a akarta abhokta. So as ahankara, you have the doership. Ahankara travels, mind travels, body travels, so chalanatmakam karma. Because the mind is moving, it is chalanatmakam. Because it is a karta bhokta, it accumulates papam and punyam by doing some action, depending on what action you take up. If you take a pancha mahayajna, you accrue punyam. If you do all prohibited actions, the actions which are not supposed to do by the dictum of Vedam, so if you do that, you incur papam. So by having papam and punyam, the person will have the samsara, punarapi maranam, punarapi jannam. It keeps on traveling. Whereas Atma doesn't travel. Atma is birthless, Atma is deathless, Atma is akarta, Atma is abhokta. So, in the thick of things, amidst the action, while the lower self is active in the mundane world, the higher self is not doing any action. So, a person has a facility, has an advantage to shift his self to higher nature. He has got a choice whether to remain in the lower self, ahankara, and have this grief and pain and samsara, or he can shift to the higher self and enjoy the anandam. It is like, a cyclist stops pedaling. When a cyclist stops pedaling, because of the momentum, the cycle moves forward for some time and then stops. In the same way, when you shift to the higher self, when you start owning up the Atma, when you start claiming the Atma, then you have the Anandam. You don't have the papam and punyam. You are rid of papam and punyam. So you are free from punyam and papam. Thereby, the agama is not accrued. So this is the advantage. Agama is not accrued and you are enjoying the ananda, which is the swarupam of Atma. So you enjoy the blissful state. Even though the lower self is functional, the ahankara is functional, and the transactions are carried on, but your mind is with Atma. You have shifted your mind to Atma. Therefore, you don't get the shocks of the samsara. You don't get the pain offered by samsara. On the contrary, you get anandam. So, saha buddhiman manushyeshu. That is what this sloka says. One who shifts his self to higher self, instead of sticking to the lower self, he is the buddhiman, he is the right person. One who owns up the akarta nature, even when the inferior I is active. So, saha manushyeshu buddhiman bhavati. So, he is supposed to be a jnani. Then, one who does not allow ahankara to wag the tail. Saha yuktaha, one who has a control on indriyas, one who always revels in Atma, is the yuktaha. Yuktaha means he is a Swami. He is not affected by the tantrums of the ahankara. So he is always in his happiness, in his ananda. So saha yuktaha means he is having absolute control on the ahankara. Ahankara is under his control. So if ahankara is under his control, then he can enjoy the aham. It is like this, no? In the morning, these people, they go with the, dog and, go for a walk. Sometimes the dogs, they are so powerful, they drag the person. If the person is meek and lean and all that, they drag him. So like that, the mind controls the human being if the mind is not controlled. If you surrender to the mind, surrender to the ahankara, then if you are a slave of ahankara, then you are into the samsara, you are into the pain, you are into the dukkham of samsara. Whereas if you are a master of the mind, master of the ahankara, then you are a Swami. Swami means you can have the anandam. Swami is always in anandam because he is owning up Atma. Saha krutsna karma krit, that is the title given by Paramatma. Such person is the accomplished person. Paramatma says one who revels in Atma is the accomplished person. So accomplished person means what does he mean by accomplished person? An ajnani's accomplishments are with the local things. He thinks if he is not having a house, if I have a house, I am whole and complete. Otherwise, I lack. My very life is not meaningful. I lack something. That inadequacy makes me small and makes me reject myself. So he is always in search of things, in search of people, in search of places for accomplishment. If I get this degree, I am accomplished. If I get a promotion, I am accomplished. If I get a foreign chance, I am accomplished. So all his targets are outside and he feels that he is whole and complete only when his accomplishments are full and completed. But for a jnani, there is no need of outside accomplishments, outside targets, because he knows that his very nature is Purnaha. Aham Purnaha Asmi. He knows that he is whole and complete by the very nature, because he is Atma. Atma is all pervading. There is nothing left in this universe other than Atma. So everything is Atma. So for a jnani, even a Kohinoor diamond will not lure him. So such a person he is, so he is already accomplished. Saha Krishna Karma Krit. So he is accomplished in all respects. I want to be somebody. This kind of thing is because of a lack of jnana, that you are Purna Purusha. I want to complete this project. If I die, who will take up this project? So like that, the person is always, in the rat race. So he thinks that he is whole and complete only when he completes this. So he can never be whole and complete, because a finite thing will never become infinite. So we have dealt with inaction in action. While in the midst of action, in the thick of actions, if you own up Atma, you are not doing any action. You are in absolute inaction. If you own up the higher self, that is Aham, instead of owning up Ahankara, if you own up Aham, the Atma, then you are in inaction, though the Ahankara is functional. Though the Ahankara is in the thick of actions, in the thick of things. This is the first riddle. The second riddle is you have to see action in inaction. When there is no action, you have to see action. That is, you look at this wall. This wall is stationary as you look at it. It is not moving at all. But if you look at in the micro level, it consists of, to start with, it consists of bricks, and then if you further go down, it consists of atoms, subatomic particles, electrons, protons, neutrons, all those things are there. So they are all subject to movement. Electrons are moving around the nucleus. So that way, though the wall appears stationary, there's a lot of movement inside. In the same way, you sleep and think that there is no action taking place. Inside your body, a lot of actions are taking place, like digestion, then respiration, the blood circulation, a lot of action is being continued. In the same way, if you look at this earth is appearing as a stationary. But this earth is moving about itself 1,000 miles per hour. Moving around the sun 60,000 miles per hour. So the earth itself is a great giant wheel. So though you are in the giant wheel, you don't feel that. In the same way, when you look at the Ahankara is never actionless. You can never think of Ahankara to be actionless. Aham is always actionless because it is akarta abhokta. Ahankaram is always karta bhokta. It is always doing some action or other. So what is the advantage of switching over to Ahankara? What is the advantage of switching over from Ahankara to Aham? If you switch over from Ahankara to Aham, as I told you, you get the Ananda and you are accomplished. Saha Krishna Karma Krit Saha Buddhiman. Such a person is discriminate, he is a Viveki, and he is considered to be a Jnani. That is the 18th sloka. So from 19th up to 24th, the slokas are the explanation or the expansion of 18th sloka, or the expansion of the 18th sloka. The 20 to 24th sloka is the sloka specially catered to Gruhastu. How a Gruhastu can remain in that Atma. So they are focused on Gruhastus because the action is only for a Gruhastu, karma is only for Gruhastu. So Paramatma wanted to say that in spite of so many actions for a Gruhastu, he can remain peaceful by switching over to the Atma where there is no action, akarta abhokta. So we will see the 19th sloka. यस्य सर्वे समारंभा काम संकल्प वर्जिताः ज्ञानाग्निदग्ध कर्माणां तमाहुः पंडितं बुधाः. यस्य सर्वे समारंभा, he whose actions are all free from desires and fancies. यस्य सर्वे समारंभा काम संकल्प वर्जिताः, he whose actions are all free from desires and fancies. Jnanagni dagdha karmanam, whose actions are burnt by the very knowledge. Tam buddhaha panditam iti ahuhu. For such a person, the jnanis acknowledge him as a wise person. Anvayam. Yasya sarve samarambaha kama sankalpa varjitaha tam jnanagni dagdha karmanam buddhaha panditam ahuhu. So, the difference between ajnani and jnani. Ajnani does work with selfishness for the sake of himself, for the sake of his family. He takes up anything for want of fulfillment, for want of fullness, because he feels that he is empty, he lacks something. So he has to do something to fill him, to make him full and complete. But unfortunately he is not successful because that fullness and purnatvam is not outside, it is your own nature. Ajnani does work in order to get fulfillment, whereas a jnani does work for loka sangraha, out of fullness, nirhetuka daya sindhu, out of compassion without any motive. So the compassion is the intrinsic nature of jnani. Jnani's actions are not caused by discontentment, sense of loneliness. Without activity also he is full and perfect, whole and complete, without action also. Whereas an ajnani feels he is not comfortable with himself. I am not at home with myself, he says. Therefore, he rejects himself and rejects the world, because he cannot accept himself. He always thinks that he is small and he lacks something. He has to be full and complete. That Purnatva Siddhi is not possible from outside things. Unfortunately, he thinks that peace, happiness, and security is outside. So he can get it by achieving outside accomplishments. But he cannot get happiness, peace, and security from outside things. Whatever he accomplishes will make him, run around more because he cannot get peace, happiness, and security. Whereas a jnani is at home with himself. Therefore, he is at home with the world also. That is the greatest advantage of jnani. An ajnani is not at home with himself. He rejects himself because he thinks that he is small and inadequate. A jnani doesn't travel from unhappiness to happiness. That's how an ajnani travels. He thinks that he is unhappy now. By achieving something, he will be happy. That's how he keeps on, running around. Whereas a jnani travels from happiness to happiness to happiness to happiness, like that. He's always happy. Whether he takes up a work or he doesn't take up a work. Because he's the setup and Purnatvam, there is no relationships. Setup belongs to lower level. Purnatvam belongs to higher level. So, both of them are doing the actions. One is out of Purnatvam. Jnani is doing out of Purnatvam. Whereas Ajnani does work for want of Purnatvam. So any action brings forth Papam and Punyam. If you do good work, if you do noble work, Panchamahayajnas, all Vihita karmas, you can accrue Punyam. If you do Nishiddha karma, you accrue Papam, which will lead to further Janmas. Whereas a Jnani does work and doesn't accrue any Agami. He will not accrue Punyam or he will not accrue any Papam. How does it happen? Jnanagni dhagda karmanam. He burns all karmas by the fire of knowledge. So, his karmas are like roasted seeds. A roasted seed looks like the normal seed only. It is good to eat also. But for one thing it is not capable. You cannot germinate. For germination, the roasted seed is not useful. So all the karmas of jnani are like roasted seeds. So they cannot bring forth papam or punyam. Jnanagni dhagda karmanam, by the Jnanagni, by the fire of knowledge, all the karmas of jnani are burnt. Tam panditaha ahuhu buddhaha. Panda means knowledge. Panditam. Such a person is known as a jnani. Who declares that he is a jnani? Who recognizes this person as a jnani? Buddhaha, another jnani. So in order to recognize a scientist, another scientist is required. If you want to give a prize in science, so the judges must be scientists. If you want to judge a musician, all the judges must be musicians. So tam panditam ahuhu buddhaha. The jnanis call him as a jnani, panditam. The word pandita is used deliberately by Paramatma because that was the word used by him in the beginning of his teaching. That is sloka number 11 in chapter 2. Asochan anvasocastvam prajnavadansya bhashase gatasun agatasuncha na anusochanti panditaah. So, a pandita, a jnani, will not grieve for gatasun agatasun, gata prana agata prana, agata prana prati, gata prana prati. Gata prana prati means one who died. Agata prana means one who is not yet died. So, gatasun agatasuncha na anusochanti pandita. So, a pandita will not have any kind of sorrow, grief, because he knows that his real nature in reality is asangaha, akarta, abhokta, because he always rebels and owns up and claims that higher self as his own nature. So the local disturbances, the local abnormalities will not shake him. It is like a shock absorber for him. So he is not having any grief. On the contrary, he is always happy. 20th sloka will see. Tyaktva karmaphala sangam nityatrupto nirasrayah karmanyapi pravattopi naiva kinchit karoti saha. Karmaphala sangam. So, by renouncing the attachment towards the result of action, remaining ever independent and satisfied, though he is fully engaged in the action, naiva kinchit karoti sa, is not doing anything. So, he is not doing an iota of work. That's what naiva kinchit karoti sa. He is not doing an iota of work, even though he is fully engaged in the work, because he is a jnani. He is having the higher self as his own reality. So, karma phala sangam tyaktva, by renouncing the attachment towards the result, karma phala sangam tyaktva, he is not obsessed with the karma phala. This karma phala should be always in my favor. Karma phala is Ishvara's choice. It is in the domain of Ishvara. Whatever the Ishvara wants to give, he will give. Based on your previous karmas, you will decide what type of karma phala I should give. So karma phala, sometimes it may be in your favor, sometimes it may be adverse. So a jnani is not obsessed with karma phala. Nitya truptaha nirasrayaha. Nitya truptaha means he is ever happy, he is ever content, because he is always reveling in that Atma. So he is having that Purnatva Siddhi. So with that he is always Trupti. That Trupti is there, ever content. Nirasrayaha. Nirasraya means he doesn't lean on something. He doesn't require something to lean on. An ajnani wants always something to lean on. A jnani is a free person from grief or sorrow. Jnani is not overwhelmed by surroundings. Ajnanam is the cause of bondage. Jnanam is the cause of liberation. Ashrama will not decide the liberation. Varna will not decide the liberation. It is only the jnanam. Chandalostu satu dvijostu guru rutyesha manisha mama. So if you have jnanam, even if you are a chandala, you are a universal guru, everybody prostrates unto you. So it is the jnanam that which is very, very important. You should know your real self and revel in that real self and claim that reality. Slokas 20, 22, 23, 24, they talk about Gruhastu Jnani. A Gruhastu Jnani does lot of work. He has to do Panchamaha Yajnas. Then he has to, take up his family duties. So like that, he has got umpteen things to fulfill. Even though he is in the mid of so many actions, if he is connected to the real self, if he is connected to that Atma, Atma is the real self. If he owns it up, then he will have all this advantage. On the contrary, an ajnani postpones. He thinks once this work is done, once this is finished, I will come to jnana. Once I retire, I will take up jnana. Once my children are settled, then I will take up this knowledge. So like that he keeps on postponing. It is like when this ocean is waveless, I will take bath. It can never be like that, because we have studied in the first sloka that ahankaram is always in action. Aham is actionless, ahankara is full of action. So when you think of ahankara to be actionless, it is not possible. So for a jnani, the jnanam is like a UPS, uninterrupted Purnatvam supply. So that Purnatvam is endlessly, it is supplied to jnani. So he need not lean on something, nirashrayaha. A person holding a walking stick for the sake of fancy, or just to drive away the animals. So he need not lean on walking stick. Whereas a person depend on the walking stick, if the walking stick breaks, then he cannot walk. So that is the difference between ajnani and jnani. An ajnani needs people, ajnani needs things, ajnani needs events, places, whereas a jnani revels unto him. So for happiness, it is always he banks on himself, because he is Purnaha. That karma phala sangam, the obsession with the karma phalam in your favor is not there for him. Expectation will be there, but one should not be obsessed with the expectation. That is called karma phala abhimanam. That abhimanam should not be there. If he revels in Atma and is nitya trupta and nirashraya, then even though कर्मण्यपि प्रवृत्तोपि naiva kinchit karoti saha. Even though he is fully engaged in lot of work, he is not doing anything. He is free from action. So in this lesson, we understand that a jnani shifts from aham to ahankara. Because of that, he can see actionlessness in action. And he also knows that ahankara is without any action. Though ahankara appears to be actionless often, but ahankara is full of action. Aham is having no action. This is the understanding. Aham is actionless. Ahankara is action, full of action. So this is the understanding. With this understanding, a jnani, claims Atma instead of Anatma, and then he enjoys that Purnatva Siddhi. So with this, we'll stop today. In the next class, we'll continue this. Om Tat Sat Sarvam Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudatyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.